I'm doing a glass replacement on this 47 Cadillac two-door. I don't believe it, but I can't find any videos online of how to do these things that I've had to do. So I'm attempting to learn by trial, which is always risky. So the front window has three pieces for the rubber. One is this strip they call reveal molding. That holds the stainless steel strips that go over top of it. That is what the windshield butts up against. This is what it looks like on the end. The ribbed strip goes inside on this edge, and the outside is round to fit inside the molding. So I put that piece around here, all the way around each side. I can't find any instructions of whether to continue this across or to stop it right there. So thinking that that's a corner that has a potential leak, I'm taking the center molding rubber strip. I've cut it to fit. So I haven't measured that. I did it totally by alignment. That will fit in there. I'll do whatever trimming is necessary to make it fit properly. That's the first effort. I might have to trim this right off even and just use caulking. That's what I'm going to try first. So I'm going to trim that for each end, top and bottom, put it in place, and see if I can get the moldings to clip on. If you're looking for auto glass, I can recommend this company, Rob's Classic Auto Glass in Beachley, Oregon. Very reasonable. Prices were the best. The glass seems to be good quality. Everything seems to fit properly so far. And he also is a dealer for steel auto rubber. I've made sure that I've cut these two pieces to follow the line exactly, coming down and up at the top. Then I've taken this piece, and that is the recess cut, but then I have to additionally cut on this end so that it seats against the frame of the window. So now I will do that on this end. It's easy to follow the marks. Always work on carpet when you're working with glass, because if you have any kind of solid surface, you will have problems. So now I will cut this following the line inside. What I'm trying now is I've trimmed it back so that when this is pushed flat, don't stick your fingernails in there, especially if they've been previously injured. So I've made this so that when that reveal molding is against it, in the centerpiece, then it pushes this all against the body. So that meant I had to trim off more than I thought. First I had to make it shorter, so that's about 1/4 of an inch. Then I had to cut it so that the edge actually comes up further. When it's compressed, it's flat. If I left any more than that, it wasn't able to do it. So I'll do the same on the other end and put it on the car. I've taken this strip for the reveal molding, and I've put silicone lubricant in this part, which is where the molding clips onto. This part here goes over the window frame itself on the body. The idea being that I tried it before with everything dry, and there were spots I could not get the reveal molding on because it was clamping the rubber. So I'll try this. One thing to make sure of is that when you put this on, it is fully seated in the corners. I'm having some trouble on the other side, and I think that might be why. It tends to stretch as you're pulling it through. and that will be a problem. And make sure it's fully seated in the corners. It's very important with the reveal molding that this gap here between the two sides is as consistent as you can make it. That it's as consistent in this gap around here all the way around. No rapid changes. It's also important for the amount of twist that's on it. Every dimension is important, or it'll be difficult getting it back on, including the curvature here, consistent as possible. What I'm going to do now is set this in the corner, both corners. That over top of the windshield washer. Fully seated. There. I made it flatter this time. Put that in there. Just get it basically lined up and then pull it back. Get it into the corner. And it clears the center frame. The top needs more work yet. Rubber mallet treatment. If you're planning on doing jobs like this, rubber mallet is very useful. There we go, in place. Trial number 003. So I took it back off again after a great fight to get it on there because I couldn't slip the flashing, if you like, the trim back in. So I will try one more time. I'm going to put this on in 2 stages. First is to loop this weather strip over the center bar, which is a bar I've replaced. So I thought I had put it at exactly the same thickness, but it is a tight fit, so I'm not sure if that's factory or not. It was probably 15 years ago I did it. And there's been a few moves and a few moves of the car since then. See what I can do. So far I used this thin piece of metal here, which is actually a retainer for the rear window strips. And I've worked the decorative strip and the weather stripping onto the center bar. So now I will try and do the same thing on the opposite side. And they don't seem to want to come out too easily. There's hope. Scratch. I can pry this around now. to watch with this thing because it's quite destructive. I'm not going to use that. Just trying to work it through bit by bit. Okay, got it in with this screwdriver. It's one I use more for electronics. It's probably 1/8 inch tip, fairly thin. The other one went to a finer tip, but it was rounded and it was wider. It didn't seem to work as well. But it's all in there. I'm going to have to do a little straightening yet, some of this. That one's just a little bit kinked. I'll do that before I prep for the inside strip. Looks good up here. I might put some more caulking up in there. Then I'll put the retainers back in. And it should be ready for the windshield. Finished on the outside. All the seams look good. Seems to fit fine. Clears the windshield washer pedestals and wiper pedestal. Ready for the next stage. That's all in place. Now I will I've cleaned off an area to work. So it's the full width of the windshield. That's very important that you have a soft surface to work on with glass. One, it scratches. Two, any flex you introduce is going to be very close to breaking it. So this is the inside of the rubber molding for the windshield. It has the ribbing in it. It also has a slight bias in a V. So that's the inside. It also matches the original. I'm going to put some caulking, very small amount, in the groove just to seat the glass. Try and prevent any water from getting in, but I don't want it to be enough to squeeze out. And then put the glass in and tape it to the rubber, sure that things don't slip, and see if I can put it in the car. But first I will get the inside molding because that's what retains it in place. Here's the first piece of glass, and I have the window trim there for inside, the windshield trim. I've put the sealant inside, a light coat inside the rubber, not visible until you open it up, and I'll put the first piece of glass in. This follows the curve of the dash, and that's the bottom. I'm going to put it this way to start with. Wipe the edges. I'll get some glass cleaner. It's got some oily film on it. That's the first one in. Looking at the way it was shaped, it appeared that this side had a preference to be longer, which meant that the glass had to be, that's the downside. So that will be the passenger side inside. I'm going to start on this side because I want to be able to push this against me when I'm seating the glass. So this is the same direction as the other one. I've cleaned about 1 inch in on each side, on the sides of the glass and both sides. Now to put it in, we'll start on this corner. Honest. There we go, that's in. Now I can put this end in, like that. Now this can go on. Pull it back like that, it flares a bit, so it's a little easier to get it on there. place. Clean off a little bit of sealant that came out of there. I'm going to flip it over carefully. Work squeezed out of this side. That must have been a little sloppy there. Very carefully scrape through that. No pressure on there at all. Now I'm going to reinforce it with some painter's tape and try and get it in the car. When working with glass, these are pretty useful. They work pretty well. ProTech brand. Looks like it's 9012. Both boxes are marked that way. And the handle. Sorry, wrong way. I'm ahead of myself. And that washer obviously can go up at the top as well. Or it should, because you get better compression that way. Then the spring. Then the washer. The handle. And the nut to hold it on. Looks like one of the nuts is rolled out of the box. There. Dry. Lift it up. I'll probably put some water on there because it does lose its suction over a period of time. Okay, since these suction cups are wet, they tend to slide. So for now, I'm going to lift it up in a V shape, work it into the car, and try and get it up above the dash, and then put the two window trims on loosely, just to hold it in position. I've cleared everything out of the way, and I mean everything. Lots of years of experience of being stupid has shown me that you don't clear things out of the way, they get in the way. And then it's a whole lot more complicated. So the trim is back here. The lamp is there in case I need it, but I don't expect to. Nothing is hooked on anything. Screwdriver is within arm's reach. The trim, the screws are in that yellow paint can lid. So let's see what happens. Okay, that's one side in. Door just decided to self-close. You can see there's a nail in the way there for the trim. All I gotta do is find the screw hole. There it is. Right there. Even though I don't have the headliner in yet, I will clamp this all up so it seals, so the sealant sets in position. The first thing I got to do is to remove that nail and things that are in the way there. It's another handy tool. I have a smaller one. It's the same version of this. And then should work to get this nail out. There goes one, two, the third one there. The dash edge seems to be up too high. A little reforming needed. I used this hammer, this end, to hammer that edge down probably about 1/8 of an inch maximum. That gave enough clearance. I could just get it past with no real force against the glass that way. I did have to pry it past the nailing strips here, which I could have taken out, but all I did was compress the rubber so that it would slide past. Now I can put the 3 pieces of trim on and get it into the right position. Apparently it's lunchtime. There. Look up here. Inside there. There. There we go. That one's in. Now I'll just do the others. I do need the light. A little dark up there. Of course, it's got to be plugged in first. Okay, I will use the awl to find that one. Too. Doesn't actually overlap here, I see. It's a space for the trim to come down. Not only does it show the angle it's at, but you can use it to move things that have to move sideways. Finding that the rubber is in the way in some places to pry it up. It's compressing it nicely. Looks like it's all fitting. It's squeezing out some of the sealant. These all have to be taken out again when I do the headliner. But I just want things to set in position. Perpendicular to the strip, pretty much. Don't tighten one spot too much more than any of the others. Everything has to settle into position. Another problem, the end of the screw's broken off, or no, that's for a different spot in the car. It has no point. It doesn't have a point. There's no point. Dad humor. Progress has happened. Now it has a windshield with no holes in it. That's probably the first in over 40 years. I've had it for 30 years, and I think it was in a field for 20 before that. I still have the vent windows to do, but the side windows are done, both of them. That's probably the cleanest that back window has been in 50 years. It's still got some scratches in it, which I'll try and polish out. And I got to put the dividers in, the stainless strips, and the trim around the outside. It's missing a piece of trim, of rubber trim at the moment, which I have to put on. And there we have it. Quarter windows, and it'll be done. I can start on the interior.